They say hope begins in the dark, but most just flail around in the blackness, searching for their destiny. The darkness, for me, is where I shine.
So you seem kind of relaxed. I guess Tigon has sort of pushed out 2 big projects.
Yes.
It's a relaxing time for you?
Yes. I had twins. The afterbirth is gone. I can walk again. You know, decompressing after a very, very busy April and, you know, having some follow-up in May. So it's nice. I'm feeling good right now.
So what kind of thoughts do you have after pushing out Dark Athena? What sort of lingering thoughts do you have?
I'm really happy with it. You know, the press reaction is always interesting. We didn't know that people were going to like Escape from Butcher Bay as much as they did. And you never know what people are going to think about something like Assault on Dark Athena. I think the reaction has generally been positive. And, you know, the sort of nagging complaints that people have had about whether or not we should have stayed on the ship, should we have focused on the SCAR gun that much, you know, it's an interesting thing being me because you can't please everybody. I don't think you'll ever be able to do that. But being, you know, in the center of that argument is, I'll take that. That's a good thing, right?
And I guess it's also like, you know, you packaged it with Escape from Butcher Bay, which, you know, it's a classic, so you have to live up to your own work and eclipse that as well. Otherwise, people are going to complain about that fact.
This is very true, and I think, you know, a lot of setting those expectations, you know, we thought an awful lot about what we were going to call this game and how we were going to talk to you about it. And something we decided very early on that we would never do was talk about Assault on Dark Athena as if it were a sequel. Because you guys have such grand memories of what Escape from Butcher Bay was that anytime you throw out that sequel word or that number 2 or you stick a letter on the box, people are going to expect you to go and do something, you know, as profound as you'd done in the first place. And I just don't know if technically you'll ever see the kind of miracle that Escape from Butcher Bay was. I think... you know, 6 years ago, there were only maybe 5 people in the world that could have done what Magnus Hogdahl did, and you know now there are 100. So the landscape for building technology and engine technology and how you do that with the current set of hardware is just different. And so I think we really wanted people to understand, in a very, very basic sense, what that game was and what we wanted it to be. And if you guys got excited about it and told your readers, oh, this is the best thing ever, then that was fine. It seemed much more honest than us getting out there and going, we're going to make a sequel to Escape from Butcher Bay and it's going to be the best thing you've ever played. And I think we preferred not to take that hyperbolic tact and just talk about, you know, our creative vision for that game, and that's what we did. And overall, I think that really helped people understand what this game was and appreciate it for what it was.
I guess, you know, the publisher situation also sort of dictated that you couldn't really go out and boost.
Well, you know, I think most publishers want you to do that, actually, because there's so much pressure to create awareness and get people excited and get pre-orders made. And so most publishers will tell you to go out there and say anything that you can to get someone excited about your game. But I don't really like to do that, and I don't think Starbreeze really likes to do that. And Atari, thankfully, was of the same mind. And so I think we actually had a very calm, level-headed bit of publicity leading up to release that hopefully helped people, you know, really get their head around what this game was, and so they could buy it and enjoy it and not feel like someone had sold them down the river on the next, you know, whatever, Halo 10 or whatever, you know, you want to call it to try and illustrate the point. But I think you understand, like, it was really important for us to make sure people knew what they were getting.
Can you take us back to when you started thinking about remaking Escape from Butcher Bay? How did the project start out?
Yeah, it was really a function of Starbreeze and Vivendi deciding to work together again on an unrelated project. And trying to figure out what they could do in between. I think, you know, we were looking at a good 3 years in development on this other thing. And, you know, is there something we could do with basically more people than we needed for that project in the interim? And so we thought, well, you know, we never really got to do a PS2 version of Escape from Butcher Bay. It didn't sell as well as we would have liked. We have next-gen consoles now. We didn't get to make any multiplayer in the original game, and it's sort of everybody sitting around a campfire thinking, "Gee, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we did a remake? And could we do something that was actually meaningful and didn't feel like it was just some sales job on a game that we hadn't touched?" And at the end of the day, we felt like we could do that, and so it started as a remake. And Assault on Dark Athena at the time was a very, very small game, maybe only a couple hours long. And, throughout the course of a couple of years and all kinds of interesting corporate business, it grew and grew and grew, and everything grew, and the scope of the remake grew, and multiplayer grew. And suddenly we had Assault on Dark Athena, which was bigger than we had ever imagined that it would be. But it really did just start as a bunch of guys going, we made this great game, and nobody played it. And wouldn't it be cool if we could actually get that out there into the hands of people that maybe even want to play it, but just, can't now because it's not backwards compatible, for example. And that was really where it started.
And also, I guess to a certain extent, not enough gamers played it, like hardcore gamers, because movie titles often have that stigma that, if there's a few good titles that come out, as a gamer, you probably pick the ones that don't have a movie license tied to them because of bad experiences in the past.
Let's be honest, movie games suck. Most of the time, they are ass terrible, right? And that was something that we had to deal with Escape from Butcher Bay, because up until that game was released and people played it and reviewed it, I think most people expected it to be bad and didn't really care that we were making it. And, the publicity trail trying to get people excited about that game was so hard, because it was a movie game. It had this Vin Diesel guy in it. People didn't really know if they liked Vin. It was based on this new Riddick movie that a lot of people were saying didn't, think they were going to be very good. So we had so much working against us, and it wasn't until the end, when it was on shelves and reviewers were printing their scores, that people kind of came back to it and decided that it was a good game. So we've kind of historically always been dealing with that issue, and
I guess it's inherent with working at Tigon as well. You can't really escape that.
No, I can't. And we struggle with that on Riddick games. We struggled with it on Wheelman. There are some people that just don't like Vin, and they've decided. There were people, the first time we showed anybody Wheelman, that decided 2 years ago that they were not going to like this game, and it didn't matter what we did. It didn't matter how good it was. There was nothing we could have done. They don't like Vin. They don't like Wheelman. They think it's like Driver, whatever.
It's being made in Newcastle as well, so it's
So it's just. Sometimes you're screwed, and there's nothing you can do about it. But some people gave us a fair shot, and we got some really great reviews out of that game. And some people are willing to give Vin the benefit of the doubt. And usually when they do, they wind up with a good gaming experience. That's been my experience.
So what's going on at Tigon now? Do you have new projects lined up, or is it just relaxing vacation?
Well, it's a little bit of both. It's me trying to take some time off before we get, heavy into things, but we've got a lot of stuff going on right now. Nothing that we're talking about, unfortunately. But Vin was in the press promoting Riddick and Wheelman and saying some things about projects he's interested in and things he'd like to do. So I'll let you speculate. But we're busy.
Well, I think everybody would love to see a proper sequel to Riddick, of course.
I would like to as well. And so my advice to all of you is go out and buy that game. That's the vote that counts.
Vote with your money.
Exactly. If you like the game and you buy the game and we are able to make the game again, we will.
That's great to hear. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Baby, you and I together, we can really fly high. Can no longer feel my feet on the ground, we're moving so high. The way you do the things you do, you make me go nuts. I got a little crush.
Is there something special you're excited about for E3?
Yes, I'm excited about not working at E3 and being able to leave whenever I feel like it and not having to deal with those god-awful crowds or give demos to people that are rushed to get to the next thing that they have to see and just look like they're in pain because they're so busy, and so am I. I'm looking forward to not losing my voice. I'm looking forward to not having to eat shitty convention food. That's the E3 experience that I can't wait for.
That's great.